Right, now we should have some audio, hopefully. This has been a bad start already. Not as good as Leon, who did it much better last week. So he did really well. I'd got too many windows open and things. And I think I know why I closed the microphone down. Audio, okay. Thanks a lot there, Nigel. Yeah, big thank you to Leon for doing it last week. Yeah, I couldn't make it, and he stepped in at the last minute. I've not heard him today, so I'm hoping he's around. Did have a chat with Gary today. So I spent about 40 minutes chatting to him about all sorts of things, and we could do with some more volunteers to run the net, 'cause I'm not always going to be able to run it, and I think it's going to be a little while before Gary is able to get his station up and running. So if you are free to run the net, or able to run the net, have a go. Put your stamp on the way things are going. I've put mine on, which is not necessarily what it should be, but it'd be good to have different people and make it truly sort of. So drop us an email if you can. I'm QRZ, and if you've got some dates that you want to attempt, and we'll communicate that way, or one can always communicate by my All-Star node, etc., etc., etc. But email me, and we'll take it from there. If you can run the net, would be good. We're hoping originally to get something like 5 people and sort of alternate it round, so it's not a big struggle for everybody. Yeah, the thing that I was going to highlight for us in the UK, the rest of the world is sensible, but we're not. So a reminder that next week the clocks will have changed, and so the net will be at 3 o'clock if I've got it right. I have terrible troubles with springing forward and falling back, etc., etc. But that's the way I read it at the moment. Before I move on to, I'll go back to the clocks in a minute. I'm going to play a little video that I found. But if Simon, with the SDR rather, television G4 ELI listens to this at any time. I've got a question. The firmware, if I looked at the manual, was the original Pluto firmware. Will your program be able to operate with the latest 50EO firmware, which I think is I'm running, which is 0.5.16.2? Or if it won't run with that, would it run with it if you put that into pass mode? Which is how I do it when I'm using SDR console for the narrowband end, which I'm not on very often, but that was the other sort of question. And to Leon, who I think was having problems with his SDR Play, OSPDX. I think he's got an OSPDX. Have you installed the API, the V3 API, I wonder? I cheated, just installed the SDR Uno software from the SDR Play site, which puts that in, but you can, on their site, download just the API and install it. If you haven't installed that, then trying to use SDR console won't work, which you probably have done it, but just a thought. Right, let's go back to the clocks. And it says trying to find, let's go. Why do the clocks go forward and back? Okay, this has gone totally wrong. I've killed the wrong audio, so it should have had audio on it. We'll play a different one. This is another thing I found interesting. Well, that doesn't seem to be coming through to me. I think everything's going wrong. Let's go back to me on the camera. I know why. It's because I haven't. I'll come back on my next time and play the videos to do with clocks. I keep making the mistake in OBS that I didn't, because I'm using a VB audio cable. I didn't route it through, but it was changing the time on a sundial, which I didn't realise from British Summer Time to GMT. I've made a total and absolute mucker, but you won't believe how much effort I've put into getting it right, and I've got it totally wrong. So Leon, hopefully you're there. But let's just see who's on the schedule. See if I can get that right. Ah, look, I got Peter's joined us as well, which is good. And G0NYM Martin, I've twisted his arm to join us. He's the very old Martin. I'm the old Martin, and FKK is the young Martin. Now he's got some sound out of sync problems, so ignore that. His picture was good. Right, let's go back to camera, and hopefully Leon, you're there and can rescue me. It's just not worked out well. So let's go, and it's over to you there, Leon, from G8Koe.
Yes, of course, Martin, I'm here. Yes, you run a far too complex station, man, and you've got to keep it simple like mine. One mouse, one button to press and it works. Hello everybody, and nice to see that Peter's also joined us. And Martin, it was only a pleasure to run the thing last weekend. It's not a problem. I was free. It's always very difficult for me to say in advance when I'm going to be here or whatever, but anyway, last weekend was not a problem. Okay, before I get on to this project, which I'll tell you all about now, about the SDR, Martin, I've given up for now. I did download everything from SDR Uno, like you said you did, and it's supposed to do the whole tutti for you. And it loads the API, and then I zadigged it, which puts a new driver in. And then the moment you start SDR console, it goes and shoves out that zadig driver and puts in the wrong driver, and then you're stuck. Then it says there's no SDR connected. So I've tried all sorts of things. It works on this computer, no problem. This is my receiver computer for QO100, and it works on that one, which is my Fusion 360 computer, which I use for drawing the 3D printer stuff. But it won't work on any of my, I've tried 4 laptops now. I've discovered another 2 laptops just now while I was looking for balancing connectors for lithium batteries. So, oh my goodness, yes, yeah, I've got another 2 Dells. Okay. Anyway, so my friend Gustav, ZS1 November Zulu, who was here last Sunday afternoon, or no, it was Monday. I think it was Monday. Anyway, he also had a look and he tried no dice. So yesterday he phoned me. He says, I've discovered something, some forum somewhere, where they say this is quite a common problem. Mine is a SDR Play APR1 or something like that, but it's a SDR Play thingy. But my normal one also doesn't work. It used to work always, no problem, but now lately it doesn't work. Anyway, he said it's a known fact that some Windows installations kick out the proper driver and put in something else that doesn't work. But there is a way to get around this, and he'll read it all up. He says you have to go and dig there into the registry and do some things and so on. The irony is, when you load SDR console, it says, do you want to keep the driver or should I load a driver? And then I said, no, keep the driver, don't load a driver. But it just ignores that. It does its own thing. So anyway, so that's as far as my SDR stuff. I've chucked it out for now. I'm concentrating on my UHF receiver, and I've actually finally got a proto dog's breakfast synthesizer running beautifully. This is the actual synthesizer. It's a Philips 5511 TSA 5511 synthesizer chip. With there is my homemade VCO, and it runs on a 4 meg crystal, and this is just a normal Arduino Uno, which obviously I can replace with a Tiny, which is no components. It's just a single chip. It looks exactly like a 555. It's a little 8-legged thing. I've used them many times to drive synthesizers and things. So that's what I'll use in the final product is a 8 Tiny to drive this. Now I found you don't get this chip in surface mount, this 5511, but you do get a 5522, which is surface mount. So I've ordered some of them. They can actually go a bit higher. This one goes up to 1.3 gig. That one I think goes up to 1.4 gig or something. But anyway, then I thought, okay, now I'll have the chips and everything nice and tiny, but the VCO, I must do something like the VCO. And I tried to find a nice tiny VCO. I mean, there's lots of people with rows and rows of VCO, ZCOM, RF micro devices, and all. I couldn't find a guy who will sell it to me. They just not obtainable. So then I started, I've been on the internet and surfing and skiing and all sorts of things to try and find a tiny VCO that will run 417 megs for me. They normally have quite a wide range, but anyway. So then yesterday I stumbled across a tiny one. It's 3 millimeters long. It's one of those little 6-legged ICs, 3 on this side and 3 on that side, little SND thing, but the total length is maximum 3. They say it's like 2.8 to 3 millimeters or something like that. And all you have to add is the inductor, just a tiny choke, little coil of 18 nanohenries, but it comes with a whole nanograph and anything if you want it from there to there, that value choke or coil you put in there. So that's now really going to give me a very, very tiny synthesizer, complete synthesizer for the local oscillator for my UHF wideband receiver that I'm trying to get going. Oh, and of course, how do you talk to this thing? It needs software. So I was also surfing and looking and then you know, on the internet. And then I stumbled across, what do you call it? One of those forum things. And this gentleman did something exactly like I want to do. I don't even know what country it is. His call sign is S57 something. You can read it there. I've got the paper in front of the camera. But his name is Andre, with a J at the end, and yes, I asked him, can you help me a little bit with this? And he said, yeah, sure. I said to him, I don't want, his demo one is on 110 megs, and I said to him, okay, how do you change it and so on, and he showed me. And yes, it works beautifully, no problem. So we're making progress with, at least we have a working local oscillator now. I'm just waiting for, and of course I wasted a lot of money. I saw that I found a tiny SAW resonator filter for exactly 428 megs, which is where I want to operate. And they are available at DigiKey. And I ordered 10. They're about $1 a piece or something. But the freight is $60. Okay, I need them, so I paid the $60 for the freight. It's going to be here in 4 days, they say. So it should be arriving this coming week. And then the next day I thought, no, I need this little VCO that I've discovered now. Now, who stocks it? And I thought, let's take a chance and see what. Yeah, DigiKey's got it. Yes, they've got it. Also about $1 or something like that. Another $60 for postage. I should have waited a bit. Then it would have been $160 for both components. So anyway, you live and learn. But that's my story for now. Okay. Yeah, Martin, keep it simple. Your station is getting far too complicated, especially with that all-star stuff. People talking back to you and that. Okay, Martin, G0NYM, November Yankee Mike, it's over to you from ZS1 Mike.
Yeah, from G8Koe. Yeah, I don't know why you came in there, Peter. There was a gap being left for Martin, G0NYM, because it was going to be his first transmission. And he might have been having a few problems. Anyway, well, there we go. I'll pass it over to you there, Phil. Perhaps you'd take it. And perhaps leave another gap between yourself and Ed to see whether Martin's got things going. Right. Over to you there, Phil. I'll put a test card and it's all yours.
Right, there we go. Right, let's just check the power level. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, got to keep an eye on it because the PA is cold and its gain will decrease as it gets warm. Anyhow, good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. Leon, yeah, DigiKey and postage. Yeah, I've had my fingers burnt like that on one occasion. I missed off one item off of the order and I didn't realise it. And a couple of days later, or a day later, I realised, and of course then I reordered, and the only place I could get it was DigiKey, so I was hit with another lot of postage. Probably not as bad as $60, but yeah, it was, considering what I purchased. It was, postage was rather a lot more. But there we go. What have I been doing? Not radio-wise or TV-wise. Not a lot really. I did play with SDR console on narrowband, and I had it running on Linux, and then I tried it on Windows 10, and I had so much trouble. Maybe it's me not being familiar with Windows 10, but I had a lot of problems with it. Eventually I got it going, but yeah, I was quite unhappy with it. But anyhow, I did get it going, and I was going to go down the digital route. Not because I want to do digital, it was because of linking up another program into SDR console. And you have to use virtual USB cables and virtual audio cables. And when I looked at the audio cables, the free one, is it VB cable or something like that? The free one that you could get only allowed you one virtual cable, and I needed two because it's bidirectional, so I needed two, and I wasn't going to pay for it. And then looking on the net, as one does, I suddenly realised that a program called QJack would do the job, and QJack was originally what it was designed for Linux, and it's basically virtual audio cables, and you can route them and connect them in whatever way you want via a graphical interface, a bit like what's it called? Not Node-RED. Perhaps it is Node-RED, but anyhow, it's graphical. And then when I realised that it's Q-Jack. I thought, well, what's the point in doing this, because I've run it before and I know it works. And that's where the project ended, because it's difficult to get it working on Windows. And then I thought, well, this is stupid because it works on Linux perfectly. And that was literally where everything got boxed up and put back on the shelf. So that was that. And the other thing that I did, which is probably more interesting, was I don't do a great deal of surface mount. I don't do a lot of building like I used to. I mean, it's just I used to have my whole working life. I was building electronic equipment from scratch, from component level up. But these days, I don't do a lot of building. And yeah, building printed circuit boards with standard old type components. Absolutely, yeah, it's old hat. But surface mount, I've never done a great deal of it. I have done it because I've built winter hills and stuff like that. So I have done it, but I've never done a lot of it. And therefore, I have never really experimented to see what was the best technique. I just used a technique that sort of worked. But I never really sort of had the opportunity to actually play at surface mount. So a few weeks ago I ordered some surface mount soldering kits, very cheap, only a couple of pounds, less than a couple of pounds each. And yeah, so I thought, well, I'll do that and I can practice, and if I muck it up, it doesn't really matter. But I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So these are the boards, these are the things. Comes in a little kit like that, get all the bits in there. And I've done 2 of them, and I experimented just to see what's best. And first of all, I'll just show you my little soldering station, if you want. The hot bed is that hot plate there. Now I have to turn that down to the absolute minimum because it's the thermostat on it is bimetallic. It's not very good, and I have to turn it right down to the limit, and it really is on the limit. And even then, it probably gets just a little bit too hot. So I have to disconnect it. Otherwise, the flux will start to smoke, and that's not very good. If you breathe it in, it's not very nice on your lungs. So anyway, so that's what I've got, and yeah, that's what I did, and I just experimented, and I've got it. As far as I'm concerned, I've got it down now to a technique that works, and I use a hang on, let's put my camera back on. I use some tweezers with a curved end on it, and I use it a bit like a crane. So the rear end is on the desk, and then with the component held in the jaws of the tweezers, just like a crane, just lift it up and then plonk it down with the base of the tweezers on the bench, and that really makes it stable and quite accurate, to say the least. And that worked, and this is a close-up of one of the boards, and the components on the right, and I can't remember the number of them, but they're pretty small. I have used these before. I forget where I used them. I think it was on the ports down. They're 0402s, and I did all of that. And the first one I did, I had 4 dry joints on it, and the second one I did, I had no dry joints, and every single connection worked. And I think yeah, and that really surprised me. So that's what I've been doing. I've been playing around, literally playing around with techniques for doing surface mount. And that's it. That's what I've really been doing. So that's enough from me. Who's next? I think Martin's going to take it. So if you just hold back, Ed, and see if Martin can come in. What I should do is I should put up my test card, and then I'll kill carrier. And if Martin is able to come up, I'm sure he will. If not, Ed, it'll be over to
Hi. Right, I'm sorry about all the palaver. It's first time on the bird or whatever. Yes, thank you, Martin, for running the net. First of all, we'll. Okay, first of all, Leon, in your VCR bits of your parts getting your parts right. Yes, it's always the same, isn't it? You want one part, you've got to pay one part, and it's always sort of going to cost you an arm and leg just for one piece. I always think there's some bloke with a taxi that's got to go to the other end of a warehouse or even next street to pick a little part out of a component drawer to put it in an envelope for you. Okay, on the sink, yes. Well, just hope the sink's not interfering with too many people. It's something for me to sort out. Everything's very basic here. It's a winter hill into a bird's bullseye, enter a 1.2 metre dish, and it's the ATV easy into OBS into a small 100 milliwatt amp, 30 dB amp, whatever, enter a Burt Modder 70 watt amp, which is stuck up there somewhere. That's basically it. Okay, Phil, on your adventures with surface mounting. Well, I built the Winter Hill, which was the very, very first surface mounted thing I'd ever built. I go back 60 years, and I was brought up with 807s, 88 ECC 83s, and soldering, and a piece of wire with a hook on the end, and a Weller solder gun, put it that way, or even before Weller had coal or whatever. And I was quite happy with that. Chassis, knocking holes out of chassis and things, and mounting valve holders, or tubes as what the Americans call them. And I was quite happy with that, but never mind. I ventured into surface mounted and built the Winter Hill. Thanks to Colin. He's got a YouTube channel, or BATC got a YouTube channel, with one of his soldering surface mounted components, which I've watched over and over again. I followed his way of doing things to the letter, and I found it quite easy eventually, and everything seemed to work out fine. Now, a couple of days ago I decided to build a radioless node, and I got this, and I've stuck all the bits on it, but the trouble is, I would sooner do surface mounted now. I'm cutting the wires off. It seems a lot of faff, a lot of palaver to put the parts on. And like Phil was saying, if you use hooked tweezers and use it like a crane, like he very well described it, to sort of hold the piece in, I use solder. I don't use paste or a hot plate. I just use a soldering iron and just touch the end to get it into position, and once it's in the right spot, turn it round, do the other side. And the secret for me was using very, very fine solder, not I think it's about less than a millimetre, quarter mil or something like that, very fine diameter solder. And I had quite a good look with it, so that's worked well for me. I hope this transmission's coming out okay. Sorry, I apologise to anybody if it isn't, but this is the first time I've ever been on the satellite. The sync's out, I know. I'll have to play about with that and see if we can sort it out. It looks worse now than what it was before. So, I don't know who's to take it next. I'll pass it, I'll could carrier, put my test card up, and whoever's to take it, please do so. Thank you very much for having me on anyway. From G0 and
Okay, GW7BZY, hopefully it's my go, I think it is. My phone's pinging away. GW7BZY, hopefully it's my go, I think it is. Turn down the sound. Good evening to everybody, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you are. I don't think morning, but my phone buzzing. I've got two phones. I've got the wife. I went out last night. One of the lads at work was having a stag do, so taxi driver just dropped off my phone. It was that kind of night, and of course I got, not that I've got much of a hangover, but I certainly got a serious earache this morning. Well, she's not speaking to me at the moment, but hopefully that will improve as the day goes on. So I've been getting my other old phone into operation, but the taxi driver just dropped it off, so all's good, and all's well that ends well, eh? Although it's not quite ended just yet. Yeah, I don't think I wasn't on last week, was I think working. But yeah, I haven't done anything radio wise. My local repeater, DMR repeater, the lovely sound, as I know some people appreciate DMR. The repeater's gone. I mean, I don't quite know how. There is more behind it, I expect, but there's a story which I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate. But it's gone. I just bought a new radio, so I'm going to have a whinge. I bought a radio. It's the only repeater that I've in a long time been able to work from home without an aerial outside, and now it's gone. So I'm not happy about that particularly, especially when I spent quite a bit of money. But there we are. I've now tuned it to 446, and I talked to the wife and asked her for a cup of tea on it. I've got two, as it happens, two walkie-talkies I bought. A Woe song, which was really cheap, just to see what, test it out. And then since I've got a really good signal in my home location, I thought, well, I'll go and spend a bit more money. And within a few months, it's gone. That's about that. I did give DATV Easy a go, but it doesn't seem to be working very well for me for some reason. It doesn't like the Pluto, I don't think, with it being modified with the latest firmware, and I'm not really going to go and change it back. So I did flirt with that a bit, because I think it's quite a handy, simple GI, isn't it? A graphical interface. It's quite easy. It's not, whereas the other one takes nearly a whole screen, and I don't have that many screens. So anyway, that's a bit of a ramble. I've got a comment on it. It's good to see the new guy there. I don't think I've seen you before. So good, well done on getting on. I think I've got Jim's one of Jim's PAs. I think it says he puts out 37 dB, so it's quite a powerful PA, and they run a little preamp. The Oscar preamp, the kit. That's my only surface mount construction was the preamplifier, and I've got another kit of it somewhere in a bag, because obviously I would kill at least one of them, and I think I've got 3. I've got one in the bag, one that works, and one that's in the bin. Like so many things. With that, I'm going to hand it round. I don't know who I'm going to hand it round. I think I hand it round now to Martin. Apologies for coming on early. I saw the blank spot. I was in contact with the taxi. I was telling me that the phone was coming back, and I saw the sudden blank, and I thought, oh, it must be my go. So apologies for that. With that, I'm going to go back to my test card. I'm going to go for a cube now. Cubed thingy. There we go. Look at that bowl. That's VMix, that is.
I think you've been invaded there, Ed. It's one of those days today where things aren't going to go right. The bells make me mad. Yeah, okay, there, Chris. Yeah. And to you there, Martin. That's the very old Martin. Good transmission. I didn't think the sound sync was that far out, but I'll leave it to experts to sort of sound that. Right, I'm going to attempt to play what I was going to do earlier to remind everybody in the UK about time, etc. Clocks change for the net next week. This time, hopefully, there should be some sound on the 2 videos. That'll give time for Ed, hopefully, to fix whatever problem he's got. Then I'll hand it back to you there, Ed, I think, and you can have a proper go. So, yeah, the first thing I didn't realise is that sundials can be adjusted. Well, UK ones seem to be able to be adjusted between summertime and winter time. But right, let's go to the clocks, and I'll play the first video, hopefully, with a bit of sound this time. Just explains why we alter the clocks, really, in the UK. I don't know why we do. It's just mad. It's probably just us. Why we can't just stick with the rest of the world, shall never understand.
Why do we put the clocks forward? And then why do we put them back? It's all to do with the hours of daylight. In the UK, during the summer, there are more hours of daylight. The days are lighter for longer. In the winter, there are less hours of daylight. The days become darker earlier in the evenings. When British summertime begins, everyone moves the time on their clocks forward 1 hour. This is called putting the clocks forward. And when the British summertime ends and the autumn begins, everyone moves the time on their clocks back by 1 hour. This is called putting the clocks back. But how did this start? In 1914, a man called William Willett decided that people should make the most of the longer hours of daylight in the summer. He also pointed out that less coal and candles would be used because people would have lighter evenings. Therefore, in May 1916, Britain decided to switch to daylight saving time. This is why we move the clocks forward in the summer and back in the winter. An easy way to remember if the clocks are going forward or if they're going back is to remember that we spring forward, fall back. We move the clocks back 1 hour. Spring forward in the spring, fall back in the fall.
Well, that was better on that time. We actually got a bit of audio. Now, I'm going to try and play the sundial, which I found more interesting, to be quite honest. Because I didn't know that, and I should have known it, being at Greenwich. So anyway, let's transfer it over and see whether this is going to work.
Observator for the Royal Museums, Greenwich. Today I'm at the Royal Observatory where I'm going to be changing the time on the dolphin sundial here. So I'm changing the rims on this sundial so that they actually tell time according to Greenwich Mean Time, because until today they had been showing British summertime. A sundial doesn't normally change its time because the sun's shadow is pretty fixed. This is a very clever sundial because the rims actually are removable, and that allows us to put a different rim on that has a different set of numbers. And those numbers line up with the shadow that the sundial creates, and we can actually switch between summertime and Greenwich Mean Time. You can find this sundial in the Astronomy Garden at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich, where it's permanently on display, and hopefully, if it's a sunny day, you can actually read the time on it.
Well, I thought that was interesting. Something I didn't know about. I should have known about. I don't think I've actually been to Greenwich Observatory. I don't know why. Somewhere I should have gone. Right. Are you ready there, Ed? Let's put a test card and throw it over to you and hope the Martians have left you alone. From G8Koe Ww. Ed's obviously got lots of problems. The gremlins have attacked him, making a beeping noise. So we need to go to someone that's safe with a mouse, I think, and keep it simple. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I was just trying to be clever with the net, really. Right, test card, and it's over to you there, Leon, from G8Koe Ww.
Okay, thanks Martin. G8Koe and the group, ZS1MM. Right back. Okay. Well, at least you got your audio sorted. I just don't know why they cut the sundial one so short. I would have liked to see where the shadow falls on it and so on. We have a sundial here in the Garden of Remembrance. It's in the center of town. There's all sorts of artifacts in there and so on, and I remember the sundial. I hope it is still there, because after 1994 many things were just broken down by hooligans. But yeah, and of course it's made of solid brass, so that's also a very risky item to leave unattended nowadays. Yeah. Anyway, Martin, new Martin, G0NYM. Yeah, playing with SMDs. You say you started with ECC83s and things. Well, I started with 6K7s, 6SK7s, 6L6s, and 6SN7s, and that's the stuff that I used to build with when I started in electronics many years ago. Then later on I went to the miniature valves, the ECC81s, 2s and 3s, and 6BW6s and those things. And then I got some germanium transistors, OC71s and OC45s and AF114s later. And then came the silicon ones. Ooh, the BFs and the BFYs and all those. Yeah. Now it's all just ICs and little chips and little dots and things. Yes, I found that the most important thing with SMD work, okay, if you have a nice commercially made PC board with solder mask on it, then it's very easy. Then it's very easy to work with it. Because I make my own boards, I don't have solder mask on it, so all the tracks are bare, and you have to be careful because the capillary action won't necessarily align the thing by itself, whereas only the bare. And if you put the solder paste on there and you just heat it, just go and it'll align itself automatically. So assembling a proper commercially built or made board with solder mask is very easy to work. The biggest thing is you have to have bottom heat below the melting point of the solder. Use lots of flux and make sure that you have bottom heat. Then you need very little on the top to make it flow. And that's minimum stress on the components. But anyway, there are many ways of doing it. You can use a soldering iron. Lately I use infrared system. That works very well for me, especially if you're making a whole board. You put all the components in place with solder paste. Put it on the bottom heat plate. Let it simmer there for a bit. And this, by the way, was it full? You said it mustn't smoke. No, that's when the flux really starts to work. So when you turn on the infrared, you wait for it, and when the solder, when the flux starts to smoke, then you know it's really flowed nicely, and you can switch off the infrared and remove it from the bottom heat. Okay, yeah, that's about it from this side. Yes, we'll have to push Gary a little bit. He's had a long enough off time now, I think. He has acquired some of the bits, but his big thing now is he says he hasn't got a computer. Well, I don't think that's a problem for him to acquire another computer for his DATV. So yeah, he must work less and play more. That's very important. At our age, that's important. You've got to play a lot. Okay. Oh, by the way, Peter, it was not your turn. It was actually Ed's turn first, but he didn't come on. So yeah, he's got problems. Anyway, yeah. So that's enough about the SMD stuff. My synthesizer, yeah, it locks very nicely. And it's there. I just want to make one little alteration to the program. The program keeps on running, and actually once this thing has programmed the chip, you can remove the Uno, and it'll keep on running on the frequency that it was set. Just don't power it down, because then it's dumb when you switch it on again. You only need this to start it. And what I've found is at the moment the program is every 1.5 seconds it updates the program, and you can see it on the spectrum as it updates it. So I just want to change the program so that it only writes to it once, to the buffer, right once, and don't write again until you power down and power up again, then it can write. Then you have a constant, beautiful, very low phase noise, a very, very nice local oscillator for a receiver. So and with this spider web, I mean, this is like a dog's breakfast. Once I have it nice and tiny and on a nice decent PC board, I'm sure it's going to be even better. But at the moment the spec is good enough for what I want to use it. So I'm very chuffed with this, and again, many thanks to Andre. Sierra 57 November Mike Lima. I don't know what country is Sierra. You guys can help me out. You DXers, I'm not a DXer. Sierra 57 November Mike Lima. Andre. He wrote this program, and I could just make a small alteration to it. As I say, I'm going to just alter it now again, so it only runs through once when you start it. And that is it for now. So Phil, over to you. Mike 0 PIT for the group from ZS1 Mike saying 73s, but I'll be listening to the end as I'm not going to work anymore. Where's the mouse? Here. I don't have a test card yet. In another 10 years or so, maybe I'll have one.
Yeah, thanks, Leon. Yeah, perhaps you could always draw one, Leon. You know, get some crayons out or some felt pens. You could draw one. No reason why not. You know, we'll accept that. Don't have to have posh ones like we've got. But yeah, I think you should have a test card, even if it is a paper job. Anyhow, yeah. Martin, old Martin, I think that's what King of England called you. Yeah, welcome to the net. Hope to see you on here frequently. Not sure if you were only going to do one over or not. I apologised if I jumped in when for your turn, but if you are still around and you want a second one, maybe that you could come in after me, and Peter will just hold off for a few seconds to give you the opportunity. Yeah, surface mount SMD stuff. I'm not too sure about the smoke, Leon. That smoke is really evil. If you breathe it in, boy, does it hurt your lungs. It's not good. And I found that when the temperature's high and the flux is flowing, and the solder paste is doing its job, I haven't found any problems, even though the flux is not smoking. That's what I found. I know when you do normal soldering, you get resin cord solder. Yeah, you do get the puff of smoke, and yeah, the one thing that you don't want to do is to get that puff of smoke when you've actually put the iron on some super glue or cyanoacrylate glue. And it's I might have said before, it's a very sweet smell, and as soon as you smell it, it's too late, because it's in your nose, and then the smoke will hit your eye, and boy oh boy, it's just like, I don't know, well, how would I describe it? Hydrochloric acid in your eye. It burns big time, and it makes a real mess of your eye. It's happened to me twice when I worked in a factory, and my eye went red. The whole of my eye went red, or pink should I say. But Andy, the guy I worked with, it happened to him once, And it was all down to a production engineer that used super glue in a place that he shouldn't. Anyhow, he did it, and when he came, when they walked him down to us, he couldn't see out of one of his eyes, and his whole of his eye was the darkest red that you've ever seen, and he went off to hospital, and I think they just washed it out. But he was blind in that eye for about 2 days until his sight came back. Yeah, cyanoacrylate glue and soldering irons, they do not mix. Anyhow, that's enough of that. That's enough. Yeah, the other thing I've been doing during the week is I've been raising finances for my next trip abroad. And the good news is, as of Friday, purchased a fully equipped ambulance, and we will be taking it in the middle of April, so I won't be around for about 3 weeks after that, 2 to 3 weeks. But the good news is it's a fully equipped ambulance and now desperately needed. So anyhow, so that's that. Don't really want to talk too much about it, but anyhow, that's what I've been doing. As for next week, it'll be something very similar. Got some people to see. Hopefully that they will open their wallets for our next trip, not this trip but the one after. So that's what I should be doing during the week. Might do the other surface mount. I've got that one to do. I might do that during the week. And I'll probably have to end up cutting the grass if the weather is okay, because the grass is growing. That's going to be a really exciting week for me, so I think I should end there, because I should bore you all with the saga of my very interesting week. Anyhow, now who's next? So Peter's on the list. If you want to just hold off just for a few seconds, Peter, to see if Martin pops in. I'm not sure if he's still around or not. But anyhow, I'm going to put up a test card. There's my test card. Then I shall kill carrier, and there'll be a short wait for see if Martin comes in, and
Hi. Well, thanks everybody. Made it back in again. I've got a few problems with this net today. I don't know whether it's anything or not. Leon, I cannot believe that you're quoting components. You just don't look old enough to have been involved with components of my era. I cannot believe you know about old octal-based valves, and put it that way, and germanium diodes and whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me, Leon. I can't wait up. Anyway, enough of that. But I'm just joking. Yeah, I can go back centuries. Most of the equipment I've got's old. I've 60 odd years, 70 years nearly, I think, playing with radios and old equipment, and surface mounting started to come in. Well, it's been in for years and I've just started doing it. Phil, yes, okay, the fumes of it. It is nasty. I made a hot plate some time ago just to try it out. There's a Anchor Surplus, a firm near here used to sell loads of junk, and I used to go down there and collect the stuff, to get a big bag full for 50p, and go home and siphon through it, and I've got so much junk, it's unbelievable. But one of the things I did get with these hot plates, mains driven, and I mounted them on an thick aluminium plate and tried heating a piece of PCB up and melting solder on it, and it worked fine. But I couldn't get the temperature accurate enough. I never pursued it to put any sort of measurement or anything on it, or timing, which I believe you have to do, so that it comes on for a few seconds, reaches a fairly warm point, and then suddenly it shoots up, reaches the operating temperature, melts your solder, and then it drops back down again, so it doesn't stress the components. I forgot quite the details, but that was anyway. I never pursued it any farther, but the little board the little one that you've got, I've seen those, and I thought they were quite small for doing any sort of, you couldn't, I don't know whether you could put the Winter Hill on them or not, or would you have to do it in sections? Perhaps that's the way forward. What you said, Leon, about the masks on printed circuit board, yeah, I totally agree. I know exactly what you mean. I've done printed circuit boards in the past, mainly out of magazines, photocopied them, printed them onto an acetate sheet, and then transferred that onto photosensitive printed circuit board, and developed them with ferric chloride, ferric oxide, whatever it is. But the trouble is, I could never get a circuit board as fine detail as the ones I can buy. So, yeah, I can see what you mean. Sorry, I do apologise. So that's it. Yeah, what else was mentioned? Oh yeah, well done, Phil, for your getting your ambulance together, and I know I've sort of listened to what you've been doing, and well done. Yeah, cheers. Big thumbs up from me. What else I've written down? I can't read it. I can't read me on writing. Anyway, I'm going to drop carrier, put my test card up, and say good afternoon. And we'll listen through till the end and see what anybody else has got.
Yeah, I think I should be in there. Looks like it. Yeah, I think I should be in there. Looks like it. GW7B's anyway. It's getting a bit dark here, isn't it? It's getting a bit dark. What's my camera moved? Am I sitting closer to it? I don't know. Anyway. I learned something there from you, Leon. That was interesting. Because I used, when I did my tuner with the Pico tuner, I got this really sophisticated specialized device for heating up circuit boards, otherwise known as a pancake maker. I think it cost me about £9 or something in one of the discount shops, and it's got a temperature on it. And of course, I used to try and reduce the strain on the components. I used low temperature solder, I suppose, which has a large amount of bismuth in it. That's right, material. And it did work, but it was a bit of a nightmare. I got a bit some of the legs, and then on the regulators glued together. And by the time I unglued it together, I just pulled some of the stripping off the board. So that's why the has a wire going to the to a separate off-board regulator, a proper, like it looks like it's been assembled with a blow lamp more than the surface mount. But I did bring the plate up to melting temperature, which is obviously the wrong thing to do, I've learned, which just explained a bit. I could have brought it up to a relatively hot, near temperature, and then did the last bit with maybe a heat gun or something. So, or a blow lamp, in fact. So I don't know. So that's something I've learned anyway. So next time I build something, I've got a circuit board for a little preamplifier, which I haven't bothered assembling because, well, not very good, to say the least, with the surface mount. Well, I think I hand it round. I don't know who I'm handing it to. I don't know. It was my go to. I thought it was my go last time when old Martin there came in. Valves and stuff. I used to have a valve PA in the CB days, but I used to keep my fingers out because there's quite high voltages in there and probably not a good plan with my usual cack-handedness. So yeah, I hand it round. I'm going to go through a test card. I mean, I always have a test card. I mean, because I'm using vMix, so it's quite convenient to have a test card. And of course, you've got nice transitions. I'm trying to sell vMix here a little bit, but I don't suppose anyone's buying.
Yeah, are you still there, Ed? I wonder if so. I'll drop carrier and give you a position to come in. So over to you there, Ed, if you've managed to cure your problems from G8Koe. Right, I thought I was doubling with somebody, but obviously I wasn't. It didn't take time to lock in. So, what is an interesting net, and lots of gremlins as usual. Mainly from me. I should take Leon's advice and get rid of everything and just have a mouse. No test cards, no nothing. What I will remind everybody is that I'm just not doing very well. Thank you very much, Phil, who called me on the DATV talkback, and it works spot on to tell me that I didn't have any audio. Yeah, so I'll repeat what I said. Next week, the clocks will have altered. That's in the UK. Everywhere else is sensible. So clock time in the UK, it will be 3 o'clock. So just a reminder of the net. But it'll be 1400 everywhere else and sensible times. So, yeah, I think I ought to quit whilst I'm ahead and thank everybody for joining the net. And I could do better. So, just a quick reminder, if somebody fancies having a go and feel they could run the net, then do email us. Help would be appreciated. And to Martin, now that's the very old Martin. I'm the old Martin, and FKK is the young Martin. So we've got the 3 Martins. So that was the very old Martin. I think he did very well. I wish my first transmission had been as good as that. That's cracking. Really good. There's no excuse for him not being on each week now. No, be good to see you again there, Martin. Thanks for coming up. Right, I'm going to close the worldwide net and put up a test card and say 7-3's all. G8Koe.
Okay, thanks Martin. G8Koe. Just apologies, Martin G0NYM. I gave it to Phil. I should have given it to you. Sorry, 2 Martins in one QSO is a bit difficult. But yeah, firstly, your transmission is perfect. Your audio is perfect and your picture is very good. So you have nothing to worry about. You don't have anything to improve on. And by the way, actually I didn't start with octals. I started with, 47s and 56s. Those were the 2 thick prongs and the, 3 or 4 thinner prongs. Those ones. And 80 rectifiers and 83 Vs and yes, electromagnetic speakers, field coils and things like that. Yes, well, November I turned 70. So I don't know whether I'm older or younger than you, but anyway, I started very young. I was in primary school when I built my first transmitter, radio LSK, and I used to to play records on the 25-meter band in FM. So you had to do slope detection, and all my friends around here were listening on 25 meters FM to radio LSK. So yeah, I was always looking out the window, for the post office van that's going to come past. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, that's it from me. Cheerio everybody. Nice net. And Ed, sorry man, we were looking out for your cartoon. You managed to get the picture right, but yeah, the sound was not working. Okay, 73 from ZS1 Mike in Worcester.